So welcome to December's coaching clinic. Renewed hope and confidence in your coaching business in 2024. And even if you don't have a coaching business or you're not looking in the direction of a business, this will hopefully speak to you if you have a dream that's on hold, or you're losing confidence around a situation, or you're looking for more hope in a situation. So I do speak to those of you directly that are interested in coaching others, because that's just who Spirit keeps sending me. But what I have discovered is not unique to coaches, is not unique to just business owners. It's universal. So hopefully in my sharing today, it touches all of you in some area, in some situation where you're looking for a renewal of hope, confidence, a renewed sense of spirit. I will preface that today is the 3rd anniversary of the death of my fiance. And it might seem strange for some to be showing up here in service, but what I've discovered over time and through my own journey is that it doesn't matter how we're feeling in advance. In the moment, we're always okay. And I've come to see that I can be in grief or turmoil or difficulty in advance of serving my clients, and it's irrelevant, because in the moment with my clients, with you all here, Spirit's working her way and having her way, actually aligning me and you in the best possible way. So that's one of the first things I'd love for you to just really take on board here. If you are feeling hopeless about a situation, if you are feeling a lack of confidence in yourself, and I'll just ask everyone to mute their line because it just makes it easier for us. I'd really, so that it's really something I'd love you all to take on board. It's like, it doesn't matter how you're feeling about your situation, your business, your career, your bank account, the death. It doesn't matter, really doesn't matter how awful it's feeling to you. I don't mean to undermine what you're going through, but I just want you to see that those feelings are subject to change. They're subject to pass through. And in the moment when you're showing up to your situation, you're always okay.
Hang on, so 3 years, 41, yeah.
Next time we'll get a bit better at making sure everyone's muted. We're always okay. So, you know, people might sometimes say to me, but well, how can you show up and share if you know you're going through this and you're going through that? And the truth is that I've come to see more and more deeply that all of the feelings I'm experiencing are temporary. They mean nothing about our ability to handle a situation or our ability to turn a situation around. So that's been quite big on my path. It's given me an opportunity to not let my business tank just because my thinking in the moment about it might be worrisome, negative, or hopeless. It's also given me the opportunity to share with all of my clients ways in which they can get beyond insecurity and back into creativity, back into wisdom and what spirit is wanting to express through them. I was speaking with a client just yesterday, and she was very much describing what I hear from many business owners. She was describing a feeling of survival. She said every time she looks at her business, she gets this feeling of survival gets activated. And she looks at her finances from that place of survival. She's trying to make decisions about her life and her business from that feeling of survival. Well, here's what she didn't know. She didn't know that the feeling of survival is a feeling of insecurity and is inviting us to quieten down our busy, overactive mind. It's not inviting us to look at our bank account and make assumptions about the future. It's the feeling of insecurity about our business is not inviting us to make decisions about closing down our business. And yet nobody told us this. So of course, what we do innocently is we feel the insecurity and we think we need to make a decision about life or business ASAP. That's not the case. If there's anything you take away from this coaching clinic today, please take away this, that feelings of insecurity about your business or your future or any situation is an invitation to quieten down a very busy, overactive mind. It is not an indicator that you're not going to be okay, that your business is going to tank, or that your finances, you're never going to make it in the future. That's a huge shift from what we've all learned. And it's been one of the most important things on my journey in my business, given that on a few occasions it looked to me like things had tanked. On a few occasions it looked to me like the feeling of insecurity and panic really meant something awful about my future. I am so liberated to know what that feeling of survival and insecurity really means. And over time, it has dissipated. Over time, instead of being driven by it to make poor decisions or think up ridiculous ideas that rarely ever get any traction, instead of that, I have been able to use that feeling of insecurity as information that it's not good for me to keep looking there. There's no juice over there. Now, as a result of that, what happens is we kind of open up our mental bandwidth. We go from kind of looking at our business this way to just opening up to possibility, potential, hope, and renewed confidence. And it is in that place, but not dependent on that place, that we access divine downloads, as I describe them, ideas that move our business forward, that move ourselves in the direction of our objective. Because we're no longer walking around with this gun to our head, worried that it's going to go off at any moment. We now know oh, this feeling of insecurity, this feeling of tension, this feeling of survival. I must be in a really busy mind right now. That's all. Lack of hope, diminished confidence. Oh, I mustn't be thinking very clearly about my life for myself right now. Not a time to make decisions about business. And yet the feeling is so seductive because it's like, it's consciousness brought to life. It's so seductive, the feeling of hopelessness, the feeling of fear, the feeling of insecurity, that we would of course be convinced it means something about us in the future. It doesn't. And if we stop resisting the feeling we're in, soon enough, it'll move on. So I really wanted to set the table in a way immediately with this, because it is the most helpful thing that I have noticed in my life, in my world. And whilst I could be tanked today with grief, and I'm here supporting Francesco's family, and I'm here supporting the coaching clinic, I just know better nowadays that it's possible to still show up, to still be of service, to still be in your life, to still be in a feeling of enjoyment at that, because of what we now know about how the mind really works. So for those of you that worry about having to be perfect or needing to get it right or needing to be in a certain state of mind in order to be of service to others, or needing to be a certain way in order for your business to work, ditch those rules and come back to truth here. The truth being that the feeling you're in any given moment is an indicator of the quality of thought you're living in, and means nothing about your ability to serve, to turn things around, or to handle the crisis at hand in the moment. Does anyone have a question or comment at this point? Anyone have something that they want to ask or share?
Nice.
Hi there, Birdie. Great to see you, sweetheart.
Hi, lovely to see you, Grace. Would you say that applies when you've had an illness as well?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, absolutely. The lovely thing about this is there's no exceptions. So do you want to give us a little more detail, or do you want to leave it at that? What are you seeing?
No, what happened for me was that I had a stroke.
Okay.
Yeah, so my brain wouldn't work and I couldn't come online very much, and the light of the screens don't agree with me. Still don't. I can't write too much on the screen. I can't listen to too much. But that's why very often I sit right back from the screen. So yeah, so I'm listening. But yeah, so that sort of blocked me for a little while, because I couldn't keep going. So yes, I thought that was the end. And when I went to hospital, I remember sitting on bed and I said, "What now?" They said, "Oh, you could die any minute." And that wasn't very helpful, because that stuck in my mind for a long time. And I was too scared to move forward, because I thought, oh, any time, I could have a stroke. It's not happened in 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. In the middle of COVID, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, how amazing I see you in our groups showing up on screen, taking part, asking questions. Here you are again today. And I wonder, Birdie, like, well, what do you make of that? What do you make of the fact that here you are showing up anyway?
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, Grace. I could show up to anything spiritual, anything non-spiritual, no. My brain would cut out, like you have a director directing the movie and he would say cut. Well, my brain would go like that. And then everything I would hear would be like gobbledygook. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Well, I can imagine that your tolerance for noise, and there's a lot of noise in this world, I can imagine your tolerance for noise got less and less and less. But when I hear you, when I see you showing up at all these things that certainly we have going on, I see that your spirit is guiding you. I see that you're being led just as you're being lived.
Yeah.
And like, I would just get more and more curious about that than the insecure thoughts that would also be, of course, running the show with regards to the stroke and health.
Yeah, this is what I've seen. And I had a download before it all happened warning me not to work with clients who wanted to live in their misery, basically, is how it was sort of stated, which confused me a little bit, because everyone's got, when they come to us, they've usually got a problem they want to solve. And that really confused me. But it was so weird because the whole process was actually iterated through this download. And although at the time I didn't understand it, but it's taken me a long while to understand it and decipher it all. But yeah, so there was an issue as well, was, am I doing it wrong? How do I do it right? You know, and I've realized now there's a couple of things that turned up in my life, and I thought, oh, I didn't pursue it because I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't. Why is this happening? But actually, I should have just followed the flow, and it would have been fine. I can see my mistake, you know.
And how cool that you have access to that spirit within you, giving you downloads and giving you ideas and having you show up in spiritual circles and piquing your interest and piquing your stamina to keep going. You know, like that's such an example of being lived, Birdie, you know. And I can imagine the insecure thoughts about health and that whole area get loud, especially when we're tired.
Yeah.
There's one thing I saw with grief in particular was the tireder I was, the worse it was. And I think we often underestimate the level of rest we all need, especially in this particular business. Like, anybody can go to a job and sit behind a computer and maybe it doesn't really matter too much how you feel. You're still going to get a paycheck at the end of the month. But when you're being of service to the world, clients, people who perhaps are, like you described, Birdie, some in misery, you know, you have to be so well rested in yourself. And I took that for granted. I kind of boo-hooed that in my early years.
Yes, like I did too. Yeah. I did. Yeah, it's one of my biggest lessons to learn.
Right. Right. You see? So our insecurity gets loud, friends, letting us know we're tired, by the way, letting us know more rest is needed. And we're living in a world that boo-hoos that rest. Remember, no one's going to encourage you, except me, maybe. No one's going to encourage you to get better rested. We've all got to be doing that for ourselves. So that's another way we can really recognize when the state of mind has gone down, is that level of noise, that level of tiredness. But thank you so much for sharing, Birdie, because I didn't know that about you. And I also just, I am so inspired to see the living example of, you just living this way, regardless of levels of insecurity about health. And we wish they could just go away. But we know when they come up, there's a difference between wisdom letting you know, hey, Birdie, time to get some help here, versus insecurity warning you, be careful. Remember what happened last time? Don't forget you could die at any moment. You want to discern between those two voices, because it's insecurity, when used properly, when, I don't want to say used properly, there's some insecurity there that helps us know there's something we need to do quickly.
I usually get a headache, which I don't have headaches, but now I do. That's like my warning now. And my eyes start burning on the screen. So yeah, it's time to come away.
Yeah. Well, how beautiful to be more sensitive to your physical state of being, and to take care of you in such a deep way that you can show up in the world as and when Spirit is guiding you, and that you can go take care of you as and when. I mean, that's how beautifully designed we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Kelly, you got your hand up. Come on, sweetheart.
Hi, Grace.
Hello.
Hi. So this topic is perfect for me today, because I kind of did what you said. Like, I went with my insecurity and I made a decision, and now I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the decision. So what happened, I'll try to tell it real quick. I think I told you a little bit about this, but I finished my coaching certification last spring, and I was like gung-ho. I was doing blogs and sending out emails, and I was going crazy and, really doing a lot. I wasn't making much money, but that didn't matter. I was having a blast. And then right around July, I just got hit. I've had depression most of my life, and it had gone away, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks in July. And I just kind of did what you were talking about. Like, I wasn't showing up anymore. I was just too sad all the time. And I was having such a hard time trying to come up with things to write about. Like, it was just kind of unrelentless. And so I kind of got away from it. And in that time, I was offered a job, which has nothing to do with coaching. And I took it. It was a part-time job. But I thought it would be okay, because it was I thought it would be like, I wouldn't need too much bandwidth, and I'd be able to work on my coaching. But come to find out, it's a lot more bandwidth than I expected. And because the person that I was helping, she quit right like 2 weeks after I started. So anyway, to make a long story short, I'm feeling like I'm losing control over my coaching now. Like, it's been so long since I've been like kind of involved in it. And now with this other job, and that's the other part of it too, like being around the like people all the time that are just so like in their heads, and I get in my head with them, and they get mean and angry because things aren't happening, and I get nervous and upset. So it's just kind of like I'm just kind of not sure how to like back off or where to go right now. Like I do want to keep the job because I do like the security of the paycheck, but anyway, I just felt like sharing that. Like I didn't have like a physical illness like Birdie, but like, you know, and I feel like I'm snapping out of the depression, which is good, but I just feel like now I've just kind of made all these mistakes in my wake of that depression. So that's kind of where I am.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Kelly, because I think it will speak to a lot of people. And there are no mistakes.
Just forget that.
I say that with great conviction because one of the things that I heard Francesco say in his death, like I literally heard the download, you can't get life wrong. And I really want you to hear that, Kelly, because you can be present to this job without carrying this, God, I've made a mistake here. God, I'm getting this wrong. I shouldn't be doing that. Like that comes with such a ton of resistance that you would be exhausted by the end of each day. If you can really see that there are no mistakes, you can't get life wrong. We're all doing the best we can in the moment. Okay. And if in the moment it looks to you like getting a job is the thing to do, then that's the thing to do. That's what you did. That's what you were meant to do. The aftermath of that is where you start getting yourself in trouble. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, you see, now I can't do my coaching business, blah, blah, blah. That's who I call Bob the drunk guy in your head. He's the one who's always shouting obscenities and beating you up about your actions and behavior. Okay.
He never shuts up, that guy.
He never shuts up. And yet, as we look in this direction, you're going to be discerning the difference between being guided by your wisdom and being guided by Bob. By the way, we just call him Bob because it's easy. You can call him or her whatever you want. But you see, you can't have made a different decision in the moment, because in that moment, that's where you were. And we're always all doing the best we can, given the quality of thinking we're living in the moment. I really got this too when I got into regrets about Francesco's death. I wasn't there. I should have been there. He was messaging me. My phone was, I don't know, it was either off or there was no internet connection. There was something up. And when I started getting into regret, mistake, what if, I can tell you my alignment went down. My whole feeling dropped. And I came to see, when our feeling drops, it's letting us know we're telling ourselves lies. I wasn't trying to make myself feel better, trust me, because I'm as hard as nails on myself. I really came to see, Grace, you were doing the best you could. You were walking in the street having a coffee with friends. You know, you didn't look at the phone. You didn't have access to the phone. And when you got there, it was too late. So this is where we want to use our thinking to help ourselves, not beat ourselves up, because this is free will. We can use our thinking against ourselves. You see, you took that job. You see, now you can't do your coaching business. You see, blah, blah, blah. Or we can use our thinking to support ourselves. I was doing the best I could in the moment. This looks like common sense to me at the time. Today, it's giving me a paycheck. And if I'm not in resistance to where I am, I can also be working on my coaching business and getting that going to such a degree that I don't have to be in this job full time. That's where our free will comes in, Kelly. Are you hearing anything in that?
No, I am. And yes, it's like, it's so great. This is why I really wanted to be on this call, because I feel like I get so far away from this discussion. And when I get away from this discussion, I feel like I forget everything that I've learned. And then, like you say, those simple things, like, of course you made the decision because that was the decision that was made, and I'm wondering, like, when you feel, when you start to hear, like, Bob in your head, is there a way that, like, you kind of, can make yourself more open to, like, wisdom instead of Bob? Like, what, like, say I'm starting to say, okay, there goes Bob. Okay, what could I do in that moment to say, like, okay, how do I calm him down?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. That's a great question. And I get asked that a lot. A rested mind quietens Bob. The fact that you even notice, oh, there he goes, he's shooting off again, he's giving me a hard time. Believe it or not, Kelly, it means that you're less likely to follow his advice.
Right.
Like, there's a rested mind, whatever you need to do to get a rested mind. For me, a siesta, a sleep. I had one earlier. That's why I woke up late. I wasn't even sure if I'd missed the coaching clinic. For me, a rested mind comes from a siesta if needed, a sleep, a meditation, listening to truth. By the way, Kelly, you're in our new Mastermind program, and I'll be sharing some of the original recordings of Sydney Banks from the 70s. I find when I listen to that, Bob starts to shut off a bit, But even if you didn't do any of those things, the fact that you would discern the difference, that's not wisdom, that's Bob beating me up. That alone means you're safe. You're not going to be making mad business choices from a state of mind that's a bit drunk, So, and you're also, you're doing something good for yourself. I mean, you're looking in this direction. Here you are today, asking this question, and you're going to be in this conversation even more so as we go along the mastermind from January. So what if I said this to you, Kelly, just go and enjoy your life. And in January, we'll be looking at your business and this conversation more deeply. In the meantime, be where you are. You can't get life wrong. And fuel up on feeling good and a rested mind, and watch the miraculous doors open.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
Trust it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Since I just had a moment there to speak with Kelly, I was going to share at the end, but I think we'll do a meditation at the end, towards the end. Kelly is one of our participants coming into the mastermind, and this is something that was downloaded to me recently, to open up the opportunity for those of you that would love to have my support in your business. And it's just a beautiful experience to be together across a few months. And I'm going to drop the link in here so that you can have a look, those of you that are interested. But because I don't have a lot of capacity for more private clients, I'm glad to say many of my private clients want to continue with me. It doesn't leave a lot of space for private clients. So I've opened this mastermind as another way of working with me, and we'll run from January through March with a very specific focus on supporting you with creating your thriving coaching business. So if you love these conversations and if you'd love to have my support more deeply, have a look at that. There's an early bird offer. There's also a payment plan, and you can email me at gracefulcoaching@gmail.com if you have any questions. We have up to 12 spaces and 5 of those are now taken. So let me know your thoughts if you'd like in on that. Kinnarid, it's so nice to see you. Come on over, sweetheart. Oh, are you there?
Yes, now can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I was unmuted. It's good to see you and thank you so much.
You're welcome. What's your question or your comment?
I appreciate the feeling from where you speak and the calmness and the taking the time to answer every person gives a nice relaxation. So I was coaching a few years ago. For the most part, it went well. Everybody's lives got better. Of course, there were things for me to learn along the way and make mistakes, learning opportunities. And I was teaching a class, and then I had 2 other jobs that were paying regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them, it just got more and more and more and more and more. And then I stopped teaching, and then I stopped getting clients because the volume of that work was just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote a book. Then it was time to, and it still is time to promote the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not getting clients. Life is, busy. Then some of the workload and the job that's paying for my life has gone down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit more spaciousness. And I tell myself that I'd like to have 1 or 2 clients now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do a whole lot about it. But then I'm originally from Israel, and then October 7th happened, and then there's a lot of calling families and supporting, and people here that were either in my classes that are Muslim have been calling me to get my take on their pain and what they're going through. So I find myself engaging in a lot of that, and getting caught up sometimes in the pain all around from all sides. It's taking a lot of my earthly time. So I'm not moving forward with coaching, and that's what's happening. So maybe speaking to anything from what you've heard.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing so openly, what's going on for you and where you're at. And I think a lot of people can relate to getting caught up, and especially when we're seeing other humans in their suffering, you need to be a sociopath not to get caught up in that, but here's what I'm hearing for you, and some of my clients will have heard me talk about this before, but you see, we have to be energetically open for business, not just technically open. And to be energetically open for business requires a certain level of capacity. Now, if my life is super full and super busy, and I'm not really getting around to promoting my stuff, which has happened to me loads of times, then I know, Grace, this is a great idea, but energetically, you're not available. How do we become energetically available? Well, our priorities start to shift. So we start to take care of ourselves more deeply. Maybe we notice that hanging out in the suffering is keeping us energetically stuck. So we begin to take on less phone calls. We begin to give to self a bit more, self with a capital S. We begin to see that as much as we want to help the world and others, we can only give what we've got. And if all we've got is a tiny tank of fuel because we've been running out over recent weeks or months, then it's time to refuel. As we refuel and we come back into that open space energetically, getting a couple of clients is like that. But see, again, just like we've underestimated the role of rest as coaches, as business owners, as women in general, we've also underestimated the power of being energetically open for calling in what we want. Be it clients, be it a partner, be it greater well-being, it doesn't matter. So I wonder, Kinner, if life's inviting you to perhaps be a little less available for the whole world and a little more available for you right now. And as you energetically rise back up, the opportunities you'll spot the opportunities and you'll act on them, or you'll get the divine download because the state of mind, the bandwidth has widened. You see? See, it's lovely to want to help everybody. It's even noble. It's even applauded. But you got to know what your capacity is at any given time. And sometimes it's a case of just saying no. Hopefully being in the clinic today is also settling down, calming down. The reason I speak slowly and from this place is that most of the work is being done spiritually as your mind begins to settle. If I just throw you a ton of information at 150 miles per hour and get you all hyped up and all excited and all ready for massive action, that's not gonna go very far. So I hope that's helpful.
It is. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I really wanted us to get to a meditation today. Sheba, I know you've got your hand up, sweetheart, so maybe we'll just do a quick one here, and then we'll get to the meditation, if that's okay. You want to go ahead, Sheba?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
It wasn't a question as such, just a little bit of sharing as off the back of what I've heard and what you've said. And sorry to join the call late. I'll explain that in a second. And it's all divine timing and it's all quite delicious. I've had a massively busy mind over the last 12 months around, and none of it around my business, oddly enough, just around lots of personal issues around ex-husband, son, custody. He's 12. And it's not been going very well. It's been, one thing after another, one hateful thing after another, one difficult thing after another. It's like, how much more have you got in your arsenal to throw at me? Bob has been sitting on my shoulder permanently. And as I've given more time and energy to thinking about just how awful this man is and just, this isn't the right way to do it. And I've just tired myself out so much that I haven't had any energy for the business. But I've been wrapped up in so much conversation with Bob that I couldn't get him to go away. And lots of conversations with Grace have been around busy mind and quietening down. And the last thing you think you can do when you've got a busy mind is, how on earth do I get Bob to go away? So Kelly, it was a great conversation, just like, all right, I know you're here now. How do I bat you off for good? All right, well, he doesn't go away for good. And just as you were speaking, Grace, about the rested mind and so being in the thick of it, my husband said to me in August, let's go to, he'd been on holiday with his kids, and he said, let's go to the Dominican Republic. I was like, what a crazy idea that is. He says, let's go for 2 months and let's go make it work. And I was like, are we going to afford it? What are we going to do? How am I going to spend my days? I've got all this to think about at home. And so there was every reason under the sun not to do it. And then we just booked it on credit cards and said, you know what, go with your divine inspiration, which is book the holiday. But it wasn't holiday, it's a workcation. So long story short, where I am now, I'm in the Dominican Republic. I've been here for a week. I'll be here for another 7 weeks. And the effect of the quiet mind has been pretty tremendous. So not only did I leave the physical environment, which I absolutely adore, my house, but just being in the four walls with the same patterns every day, the same thinking. I wonder what my son's doing. I wonder what nasty thing my ex-husband's going to do next. How am I going to respond to it? And I couldn't get it to shut off. Here, I've barely thought about it. And when he talked about regrets and mistakes and what ifs, oh my God, I was so tripping over myself pre this trip. Now, Bob has tried a few times to come in. It's like, oh, you shouldn't be here. Oh, you should be worrying about this at home. And what is everybody going to think? And now I'm just like, fuck off, Bob. Just you come for me when I come home. But right now, this isn't the time or the place. So I can testify to the resting, which I didn't quite believe when Grace had said it. But my own experiences, when I slept better because it's been warmer. I haven't had the same sort of 3 a.m. wake-ups that I do with the guilt and everything else that's going on. I swim. We eat. I actually like my husband. So we've spent a lot of time together, just hanging, new husband, 6 years. So we spend a lot of time just talking and relaxing and just being happy and being a bit conscious about not complaining and not sitting in the lower frequencies and the lower energies. And I haven't done anything other than just be. So my wisdom says to me, just be. And it's been easier to do that while I've been here. And then I was thinking, oh God, a couple of days ago, oh God, we need some money. How are we going to pay for this trip? It's great to put it on a credit card, but you got to pay the rest of it off. And I didn't put any thought to it other than, oh, I could do with a new client now. This would be good. And guess what? On Friday, I got an email saying, dear Shea, back from my website, I need some coaching. I own this business. Can we talk? I was like, okay, great. So the reason I was late onto the call was that I was having my sort of introductory call with this new client who signed up. So I was just like, this is just the ways and how perfect this all is. I would need several hours to talk about it, just how all the things I'm seeing and how cool it is. So there is a way to get rid of Bob, and it is as easy as to give to yourself and Grace said quite a lot, be present, be in your own life. And it can feel like everything is too much and I don't have time to give to myself, but we only have ourselves to give to ourselves. There's no one else is going to do that. And sometimes we get so sucked into, oh, it's selfish, I need to do this. And I've got 12 things off my to-do list to get rid of first before I can do this. And then when I realized that, I think, no, fuck that, right, okay, I'm gonna do this now because I need to put fuel in the tank, and I need to be happier. And when I'm happier, better things happen, even if I can just sit for an afternoon and just do nothing and just feel a little bit better. So there's such a power in all of that. And I just wanted to just share that. And thank you for letting me.
Oh, thank you, Sheba. It's such a great example of being energetically open for business, rather than, grinding away and trying to come up with ideas and pushing a ton of marketing out there. Now, the good news is we don't all have to get on credit cards and go on holidays to become energetically open for business. But I must say, sometimes the shift we need is found in a clear state of mind that comes from being in a new environment, sleeping better, engaging these conversations more regularly. Like, it doesn't matter how you get it, but you just notice being energetically open for business leads to clients coming through, leads to divine downloads coming in. And that's why when coaches come to me and they're a bit caught up about how to get clients, it's the first place I start. It's like, let's deal with the energetics of this first, So I'm glad you're having a great time, Sheba, and I look forward to our private call a bit later in the week. Everybody, let's finish with a gentle meditation today. This will support you in becoming energetically open and aligned and move you into the festive season, hopefully with a lot more juice and enjoyment. Before we do that, I'll just mention that tomorrow at 11 a.m. New York, and 4 p.m. Oh, have I got that right? 4 p.m. UK. Myself and Dr. Mark Howard will have a lovely webinar, Keeping the Festive Feeling All Year Round. I've just posted the link to that. When you opt in, it's a complimentary webinar. When you opt in, you also get the replay if you can't be there live. So that's a lovely one for our energy tomorrow as well. So let's just close our eyes now, friends, and with our feet firmly planted on the ground, just take a few deep breaths, beginning to slow the mind. And let's set the intention for this meditation to clear us and prepare us for what Spirit wants to birth through us next. See roots coming from your feet, down through the ground, down into the underground, right down to that rock at the bottom of the earth. Wrap those roots around that rock. From that rock, see golden light. That light's emanating your true nature. And see the light moving up through the rock and through the roots, up through the ground, the underground, and in through the floorboards, right up into your feet. And really see that golden light now circling your feet. Set intention here mentally that this golden light will heal any physical symptoms in the body and will clear any blockages to you receiving what you want, expressing what you want. See the golden light moving up through the ankles, through the legs, the kneecaps, the thighs, up into the hips, Moving on up through the body, the front of the body, the back of the body, up to the face, up to the head, down through the hair, into the neck, into the shoulders, and down through the arms, right down to the hands and out through the fingertips. Completely enveloped in this beautiful healing elixir of light. And a strong message coming through here for all of you. To remember that in seasons where nothing is happening, Spirit is preparing you for what's next. In seasons where clients are falling away or not coming forward, rest easy and know you're being prepared for what's next. Dear Spirit, we pray a special blessing over each participant and each listener, that they would experience a lightness of heart and an awakening of energy, that they would pay less attention to their vain imaginings and pay more attention to their clear vision of what you're wanting to express through them. That as they go about their day and their life in this Christmas season, that each of them would be blessed with peace of mind, divine downloads, clarity of thought, spiritual connection, and an abundance of possibility and opportunity that they easily spot or hear as a result of a quieter mind. We pray a special blessing upon each person's business, career, or personal path, that the way would be made clear and easy. May all of us rest easy knowing that in your hands we place our businesses and our service in the world. And that it is through your hands that we also receive the people who need us, receive the opportunities that are for us, and the ideas that will move us into a year ahead where business is prosperous and service is joyful. Amen. I just sit in this silence for a moment, receiving that blessing upon your heart, knowing that all is well. See those roots coming from your feet, down through the ground, down into the underground, and right down to that rock at the bottom of the earth. Wrap those roots around that rock and feel yourself grounded back here in your physical body in this world. Gently moving your fingers and toes and opening your eyes as you come back to the now. Thank you for being here, everyone. And our next coaching clinic will be January 2nd, start the new year. And for those of you joining me, the Mastermind, the link is there. That will be commencing on January 17th. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a great festive season if I don't see you before. Bye, everybody.